Have you ever wondered why some people say they can't go a single day without checking their phone, while others struggle for years to quit smoking or drinking? What is it about certain habits that seem to grab hold of us so tightly that no matter how hard we try, we just can't let go? This isn't just about drugs or alcohol, it's about the little things too. Scrolling through social media late at night, that irresistible urge to snack when you're not hungry, or playing just one more round of your favorite game. The question is the same. Why do some behaviors feel impossible to stop? The answer lies deep inside the brain, in the same system that has kept humans alive for thousands of years. A system designed to reward us for doing things that help us survive. But here's the twist. What was once a survival mechanism can be hijacked, manipulated, and turned against us. So what's really happening here? How can the very organ designed to protect us betray us in this way? By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how the brain gets hooked and why breaking free can feel like an impossible battle. Inside your brain, there's a hidden circuit that decides what feels good and what doesn't. It's called the reward system, and at the heart of it is a powerful chemical, dopamine. Dopamine isn't pleasure itself, it's motivation. It's the spark that says, go get that, chase that, do that again. When you eat a delicious meal, spend time with friends, or achieve something you've been working toward, dopamine is released. It's your brain's way of stamping approval. Yes, that was good for you. Repeat it. Think of dopamine as the push notification of your brain. Every time it fires, it's like your brain saying, pay attention, this matters. And because survival depends on recognizing what's important, this system is wired deep into us. In our ancestors, it kept them alive. Eating ripe fruit gave a dopamine hit, so they remembered to seek it out again. Social bonding released dopamine, so they stayed in groups and protected one another. Reproduction triggered dopamine, ensuring the survival of the species. But here's where it gets interesting. This system isn't designed to make us happy. It's designed to make us repeat. Dopamine doesn't say, you're satisfied now. It says, that felt good, now chase it again. It's less about contentment and more about craving. This loop, trigger, dopamine, repeat, is at the core of how habits form. And while it's meant to guide us toward survival, it also leaves us vulnerable. Because when something comes along that can artificially boost dopamine levels far beyond what nature ever intended, the system gets overloaded. And that's where addiction begins to take root. So how exactly do addictions hijack this reward system? To understand this, we need to zoom in on what happens when the brain is flooded with dopamine in ways it was never built to handle. Imagine the natural dopamine system like a volume knob, carefully tuned to just the right level. Everyday experiences, food, laughter, love, nudge the knob up a little, giving you just enough of a spark to remember and repeat. But when substances like nicotine, alcohol, cocaine, or even certain behaviors like gambling or endless scrolling enter the picture, it's like someone cranks that knob all the way to max. Drugs and addictive behaviors don't just nudge the system, they hijack it. They unleash massive surges of dopamine, far beyond what your brain would normally experience. And here's the tricky part. Your brain isn't designed for those spikes. At first, it feels euphoric, like a supercharged version of pleasure. But the brain quickly adapts. It starts dialing down its sensitivity, trying to protect itself from being overwhelmed. This is where tolerance kicks in. What once gave you a rush now just feels normal. That first cigarette, that first hit, that first win at the slot machine, it lights you up in a way that feels unforgettable. But try it again and again, and suddenly the same action produces less of a spark. The brain, desperate for balance, has reduced the number of dopamine receptors. In other words, the same hit doesn't hit the same anymore. And that's when the cycle tightens its grip. Because now you need more of the substance, more of the behavior to chase the same high. But each time the brain adjusts again, lowering its sensitivity further. It's like running on a treadmill that keeps speeding up. And no matter how hard you try, you can't keep pace. Here's the cruel twist. While your brain becomes less sensitive to the highs, it doesn't stop craving them. In fact, it craves them even more. The reward system has been rewired, and now it screams at you to seek the very thing that's causing the damage. That's why someone addicted to gambling may feel compelled to play even while they're losing everything, or why someone addicted to drugs will keep using even as their life falls apart. The scary truth is that addiction doesn't just trick the brain, it reshapes it. The pathways of motivation, memory, and decision-making begin to change. The brain starts prioritizing the addictive behavior over everything else. Food, relationships, even survival itself. What began as a choice gradually transforms into something that feels like a need. Why does quitting feel so impossibly hard? If addiction is just a matter of choice, shouldn't it be as simple as deciding to stop? The truth is far more complicated and far more cruel. When someone tries to quit an addiction, they're not just fighting against a habit, they're fighting against their own brain chemistry. Remember how the brain adjusted to those huge surges of dopamine by lowering its sensitivity? Well, when the addictive substance or behavior is suddenly taken away, the brain is left with a system that's underpowered, starved, and out of balance. This is what we call withdrawal. It's the brain in panic mode, screaming for the dopamine it no longer knows how to produce on its own. Depending on the addiction, withdrawal can feel like restlessness, irritability, and crushing anxiety, or it can spiral into shaking, nausea, insomnia, even hallucinations. For some people, it's not just uncomfortable, it's dangerous. But withdrawal is only half the story. The other half is craving. Craving isn't just a fleeting thought, it's the brain's rewired circuitry lighting up like a fire alarm. Memories, emotions, even environments associated with the addiction get fused into powerful triggers. Walk past a bar, hear a notification ding, smell cigarette smoke in the air, and suddenly the brain is flooded with signals shouting, "Get it! You need it! Now!" And here's the cruel irony. Even when people want to stop, even when they know the addiction is destroying their health, their relationships, their future, the brain is working against them. Rational thought, the part of the brain that knows the costs, is no match for the primitive, survival-driven system that's been hijacked. This is why quitting feels less like a choice and more like suffocation. Imagine holding your breath underwater. At first you're calm, then uncomfortable, then desperate. No matter how much willpower you have, eventually your body will force you to the surface, gasping for air. For the addicted brain, the substance or behavior has become that air. It feels like life itself depends on it. Even after months or years without the addictive behavior, those rewired circuits can still spark back to life. One trigger, one moment of stress, and the brain remembers with perfect clarity the rush it once felt. The craving returns like it never left. But perhaps the most heartbreaking part of all is this. When someone addicted tries to stop, everyday life feels flat, gray, and joyless. Without the artificial dopamine surges, the brain struggles to find pleasure in ordinary things. Food tastes bland. Conversations feel dull. Achievements seem empty. The world itself feels muted. And in that emptiness, the pull to return to the addiction grows even stronger. So when we ask, why don't they just quit? We're really asking the wrong question. The real question is, how can anyone quit when their own brain has been rewired to fight against them every step of the way? When most people hear the word addiction, they picture drugs, alcohol, or gambling. But what if I told you that some of the most powerful addictions today aren't hidden in a bottle or behind a casino door? They're sitting right in your pocket, glowing on your nightstand, or waiting for you every time you open your laptop. Think about the last time you heard your phone buzz. That tiny vibration, that little ping. How fast did you reach for it? For many of us, it's almost automatic. We don't even think. The moment the screen lights up, we feel a pull, a little rush, a spark of curiosity. Who texted me? Did someone like my post? Is there something new waiting for me? That spark? It's dopamine. The same chemical that makes people chase drugs or alcohol is released every time we scroll, swipe, or refresh. Social media platforms are built around this. Every like, every comment, every endless scroll of content is engineered to keep you hooked. It's not just entertainment, it's neuroscience at work, deliberately triggering the same pathways as addictive substances. And it's not just social media. Gaming can hijack the brain with unpredictable rewards. keeping players glued for hours. Online shopping dangles the thrill of buying something new, that little surge of satisfaction when the package arrives. Even binge-watching a series is designed to keep us pressing next episode without hesitation. The shocking part is that the brain doesn't care if the trigger is a drug, a slot machine, or a smartphone. When scientists scan the brains of people with behavioral addictions, like compulsive gaming or gambling, they see the same areas light up as in those addicted to cocaine or alcohol. The circuitry is identical. Here's the good news. The same brain that gets hooked can also heal. Addiction rewires circuits, but thanks to neuroplasticity, those circuits aren't fixed. With time, effort, and the right support, the brain can build new pathways, ones that make space for healthier rewards. Therapy, community, and lifestyle changes like exercise, learning, and strong relationships can all provide natural dopamine boosts. At first, it's hard. The highs won't feel the same, but slowly the brain starts to reset. What once felt dull, like a walk outside, a good meal, or a conversation, begins to light up again. Recovery isn't instant and it isn't easy, but it's real. And every day of resisting the pull is a step toward rewiring the brain in the other direction, toward freedom. So let's come back to the question we started with. Why do some habits feel impossible to escape, while others fade without a second thought? The answer is that addiction isn't just about willpower. It's about a brain built for survival being hijacked by something it was never meant to handle. But here's the part to remember. The brain that gets hooked is the same brain that can adapt, rewire, and heal. Addiction isn't a life sentence. It's a battle, and battles can be won. The first step is understanding, because once you see how the brain gets trapped, you can start to see the way out. And maybe the next time you feel that pull, that craving to check your phone, to take that drink, to chase that high, you'll recognize it for what it is. A spark of dopamine, a trick of the mind. And knowing that, you'll have the power to pause. Addiction changes the brain, but knowledge changes everything. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to subscribe. And if you want curious questions answered, have a look at some of our other videos.